of Burgundy and Gold Magazine with your boy Mike Richman back here. Let me get I've made one appearance on this show, and it was when the Redskins were 3-6. They were down and out. What happened after they went 3-6? They lose again, baby! In the playoffs! So I'm kind of thinking that this year, with my presence, it might be 16-0. Let me hear you. Let's go. We got a great opening show for you. We got Carla Babb coming up later. She does some fantasy prognostic stuff, make you win your Super Bowl, make you win some cash, all right? We also got my man, Chris Russell from ESPN 980. I'll tell you what. He's not going to be on Brandon Beck's Christmas card list anytime soon. But we also got your boy Mike Nelms, who was Brian Mitchell before Brian Mitchell got to town. Let's hear it! Hey, the man that can throw out more Redskin facts than Tony Romo throws interceptions. Mike Richman! Let's go! Let's get this show started, baby!
Redskins coming off a dramatic 10-6 season. As SuperSkin mentioned, they won their last 7 games, won the NFC East for the first time since 1999. Unfortunately, got knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. And now, as we speak, 3-0 in the preseason. Very high expectations for this year. Everybody's anticipating a great season for the Redskins, and we're going to examine that right now. Okay, guys, the big story, obviously, in the offseason, Robert Griffin III had the injury in the playoff game, lost to Seattle, rehabilitated himself in the offseason, hasn't seen any time in the preseason thus far. The big question on everybody's mind, I know this, will he start in the season opener on September 9th against the Eagles?
As we sit here, there's no reason to think that he won't. I mean, they have said consistently he is on track to be ready for week 1. He's expected to be cleared. And as long as he has no setback, which nobody really can control, but there's been no setback so far, guys, and that's huge news because I always thought there would be a setback along the way, and they've been consistent. I've talked to Robert, I've talked to Mike, privately, publicly. I mean, they swear up and down that there's been no setback, no reason to be concerned. Dr. James Andrews has personally told me he has smashed obliterated every single test, every single exam that they put him through. So there's so far no reason to think that he won't be there for week 1.
Okay, well, let me throw this scenario out. What about waiting until after the bye week for Griffin to start, meaning that the Redskins have a bye after their first 4 games, a pretty soft schedule, I'd say, during those 4 weeks. I'd say the Packers would be the toughest game during that period. Let them come back after the bye week. It'll be October 13th against the Cowboys. What do you say about that, Mike?
I would like that. I would prefer that if I were a person whose opinion mattered. With the severity of the injury that he had, I would rather be more conservative than anything else. And with the career that we anticipate that he could possibly and should have, why rush back for just a few games? I would let Cousins go until that time or Cousins blows up. And I don't think that he's going to blow up, and I think that would be reasonable to wait till that occurred before I put Robert in.
Right. Well, actually, I agree with that. The severity of the injury, this was not his first ligament tear. He had the ACL in college. Now he's had another reconstructed ACL, LCL. I mean, one more knee injury, his career could be over.
Yeah, and I've always been more of the conservative school of thought, as Mike basically is, because, and I don't think it's being that conservative. He will start, assuming that he does start on Monday night, September the 9th in week 1. That's 8 months exactly to the day from his surgery. Mike Shanahan has consistently said, Dr. James Andrews has consistently said 7 to 9 months. So, Mike, what do we get if we add 4 weeks to 8 months exactly? We get 9 months. Now, is that being overly cautious? Maybe, but it's being smart, cautious, and more importantly, another important word, patient.
Don't talk it if
Well,
you're not going to walk
speaking of Wolfpack,
Hi, guys.
hi there.
Hello.
Look who's here.
Much better than a Wolfpack.
Carla Babb, fantasy football expert, actually a graduate of NC State.
So you like the Wolfpack, right?
Well, she's kind of a She has both UNC and NC State. Kind of a little bit of a paradox there.
She dominated North Carolina. All right, there you go.
Now, Carla, I understand you're the commissioner of 2 fantasy football leagues, a Yahoo League and an ESPN League. Is that correct?
Actually, I'm only the commissioner of one this year. I'm the champion of the other.
Oh,
so.
well, excuse me.
Wow.
But it's going to be I think it's really going to be a great fantasy year.
Right, she knows her stuff. All right, take it away. We're going to hear from Carla 2 studs, 2 duds, and 2 players to watch in fantasy football this year.
Okay, so my 2 studs. You know the first one. He hails from the Washington Redskins, running back Alfred Morris. I like that he has a year of experience under his belt. And what I really like is that he has Mike Shanahan, because Mike Shanahan has a great history with running backs. Look at what he did to Clinton Portis. Look at what he did with Terrell Davis. I think it's going to be a great year for Alfred Morris, and I think he's got everything going his way as long as he can stay healthy. My other stud is a tight end, and with fantasy football, you don't generally draft tight ends super early, but with this guy, you want to, and that is Jimmy Graham from the New Orleans Saints.
That's an excellent
He's
pick.
amazing. You've got 982 yards last year, 85 receptions, 9 touchdowns. Let me simplify that. 1 out of every 9 times this guy catches the ball, he is in the end zone, and he's giving you an extra 6. Pick him up.
Caught a TD against the Redskins last year.
He did. Had several big catches. I saw him live in color, and he's pretty good.
Yes.
Drew Brees likes him.
Great vertical leap.
But speaking of Drew Brees, I do want to say that if you are in a fantasy league and you have a top 5 pick, you need to pick one of the Fab 5 quarterbacks. I'm talking about Drew Brees. I'm talking about Tom Brady. I was telling you this earlier. I'm talking about, you've got Aaron Rodgers, you've got Peyton Manning, you've got Matt Ryan. If you get a top pick, grab one of them.
So you go Matt Ryan over
No, Drew
RG3?
Brees. You would go Drew Brees.
I asked that question.
What about RG3?
What about
Where does he
Eli
fit
Manning?
into this equation?
That's a good question, because RG3, he's a great second tier. I mean, you've got those Fab 5 that are just amazing. And then after those Fab 5, you've got to pick, do I want my stud, my Alfred Morris, or do I want to go with an RG3?
RG3.
And wait for him the second round.
When you say second tier, though, is that predicated on him staying healthy? I mean, how does his health fit into all this? I mean,
Health is huge with anyone, so it's always a gamble.